Hello everyone. Today's video is about the Battle of Midway. Some information was paraphrased from different online sources. Stay tuned for the 10-subscriber special. The Battle of Midway was a naval battle fought between the Imperial Japanese Navy and the United States Pacific Fleet. The United States won a decisive air and naval battle against Japan. The battle lasted from the 3rd of June to the 6th of June. This was a big victory for the United States as Midway was an important base and it dashed Japan's hopes for neutralizing the United States as a naval power. It also proved significant in turning the tide of World War II in the Pacific. A few years before the battle, Japan had ambitions to establish naval and air superiority in the Pacific. However, they hit an obstacle when in 1942, the U.S. fleet turned back a Japanese invasion force headed for New Guinea, in the Battle of the Coral Sea. Hoping to ride the success of Pearl Harbor, Japanese Admiral Isaraku Yamamoto aimed to surprise attack the U.S. base on Midway Island. After a diversionary attack on the western portion of the Aleutian Islands, an air attack was launched from Japanese aircraft carriers in the Pacific. The Japanese had 4 aircraft carriers, Akagi, Kaga, Hiryu, and Soryu. An invasion fleet would follow. Then, when reinforcements from Pearl Harbor arrived, there would be a joint strike on the American ships by both fleets. However, Navy codebreakers began breaking Japanese communications codes in early 1942. Navy codebreakers figured out that Japan was planning an attack on June 4 or 5 on Midway. Admiral Chester W. Nimitz, chief of the U.S. Pacific Fleet, was ordered to develop a plan to combat the invasion. After the diversionary Japanese attack on June 3, several U.S. bombers flew to attack the invasion force, which they had mistaken for the main Japanese fleet. The next day, more aircraft left Midway for another attack on the Japanese invasion force. Both attacks proved unsuccessful. After that, 108 Japanese fighter planes were launched from the 4 carriers, inflicting heavy damage to the relatively unguarded Midway. However, the base was still deemed operational. Shortly after that, the Japanese fleet considered another airstrike on Midway. However, tactics were switched when a scout plane had spotted a large portion of the U.S. fleet. While the Japanese were preparing for a second attack, torpedo bombers from the USS Hornet and her sister ship, USS Enterprise, attacked the Japanese ships. But, nearly all of them were shot down by Japanese fighter planes. As the Japanese were still refueling and rearming their planes, another wave of bombers struck. The attack set the Japanese aircraft carriers Akagi, Kaga, and Soryu on fire. The surviving carrier launched several attacks, with no success. Then, all 3 U.S. carriers at Midway, Enterprise, Hornet, and Yorktown attacked the Hiryu and set it on fire as well. This put all 4 Japanese carriers at Midway out of commission. The attack on Midway was a brutal and devastating naval battle. Japan had lost 3,000 servicemen and 300 aircraft. They also lost 5 ships. While the United States lost 360 servicemen, 145 aircraft, and 2 ships. Thank you for watching. Make sure that you like me, subscribe. The 10-subscriber special is coming very soon. Have a good day.